Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Movies Matrix channel. I'm really shocked that I got that intro on time because Deeb's just doing those weird hand motions, and I thought he was trying to give me a sign. Then I saw the live. I'm like, oh crap, let's get this show started. So now we have finished 2 rounds. I guess we're considering it the post first round and then the first round because people want to confuse the shit out of me like that, bro. But yeah, we have got the first round results. I did not implement that very well. You choose caca of all things.
So subtle.
Like you couldn't have let me say, yo, Venom or something or like anything.
So subtle.
Oh my God. So let's go to the post pre-round first. Let me see if I can get that. Yeah, I got that up on my screen. So the post first round was Loretto versus Leo, Amanda versus Amy, Gabe versus Michael, and then Sean had his opponent drop out, so he instantly advanced to the second round. So Loretto versus Leo. Loretto came out winning. What are our opinions on this? Deebs?
Let's see. I really liked Loretto's squad, The Thing, Evil Dead 2, Insidious. We did this during the post-game show. The top three there are bangers, especially Insidious, to my heart, one of my favorite films. But then it got to Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and Planet Terror. Those were his personal choices, his babies. And I was a little worried about where that would play in with the voting. And that was going into this, I was so excited. Fear is subjective, horror is subjective. And I was so excited to see how this voting would work. And then we had Leo's squad. And I think we're going to touch on this a lot with Gabe's squad is Ghostbusters, The Birds, The Host. The Birds and The Host are two movies I think that from first glance aren't going to get much votes. Hereditary is great. But outside of that, I think Loretto's squad is top to bottom, a better horror collection. So I think the fans got this one right.
Personally, I agree, Deebs. Loretto hit it out strong with The Thing being his first pick, the 1982 John Carpenter version. And then Evil Dead 2, I know it's a mixed reaction for people. I really like every single Evil Dead film, so they're all really good to me. Insidious, not the biggest fan of. Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is a good movie, and I even told Loretto this on our show before the second night, Sunday night, is Planet Terror is definitely a ballsy pick just because it's one of those you either like it or you don't, and we'll see later. That'll come up in a minute. But then Leo, dude, he had a really strong first pick with Hereditary with a lot of people. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan. I think Midsommar's better, but I know a lot of people love Hereditary, and this was a very strong pick for the first round. And then, like you said, Deebs, the next four are kind of just hit or miss. Ghostbusters is a good film, but it's nowhere near anything scary. The Birds, I think it's way outdated. It's not scary at all. The Wicker Man,
great.
Yeah. I think the Wicker Man, I don't know which one he chose. So I assume it's the Nick Cage one. Movie's awful. No, it wasn't the Nick Cage one.
Yeah, he should have put the year in there. Yeah,
I should have asked, but oh well. And then I've never seen The Host, but I gave this round to Loretto. What about you, Gabe?
Loretto's team is my favorite, by far. He's got a whole bunch of. I guess the weaker one would be Nightmare on Elm Street 3, but it's still I think it's the one where. The Nightmare franchise started going full crazy, let's just do things, and it just went on for too many movies. But that was the first one. The Thing, Evil Dead, and Planet Terror, I would put them on my favorite movies list, for sure. I recently watched The Thing and Evil Dead 2 for the first time, and I wish I could have gotten in my list because they're amazing. Insidious is also really, really good, really strong. I love that list. So, any of those would have gone in my list. So, Loretto is my favorite. Loretto has my favorite list out of all of them. So I think they got it right. And Leo's is pretty strong, I think. I haven't seen Host. It's that movie where everybody's on Zoom, which I hear is pretty good, but I have not seen it. And Ghostbusters. Okay, here's the thing about Ghostbusters. When I was a kid, this is a true story. When I was a kid, my parents wouldn't let me watch the first Ghostbusters because it was too scary, but they let me watch the second one because it wasn't that scary. But then the second one has Vigo. Remember Vigo? The like
Dude, fucking frightening.
that guy
Vigo's
like
frightening, dude.
nightmare inducing. So I mean, I think they're both again. You know what I wrote about. It's just scary is subjective, and for kids, they're definitely in some way scary. So I think it's a pretty strong list. But I think Loretto is again my favorite. So they got it right. To me,
I agree with you, Gabe. But we're gonna see that in Leo's list and also your list, where it kind of pushes the boundaries a little bit and more of the subjectivity of it all, whether someone gets scared or not. But let's just go straight down to Amanda. Do you believe that Loretto should have won this round? And what are your opinions on both teams?
Okay, so Leo's team, the first three are really overrated. I don't like Hereditary. I've said it, and like Midsommar is way better, as Ryan said before. Ghostbusters, it is overrated. I didn't like it. People are gonna hate me for that, but it's the truth.
You're right.
Whatever. The Birds again. I don't like
that's the worst.
I'm just saying, and I feel like The Birds is like one of his weakest, and I don't like Hitchcock. So I literally voted for Loretto because of The Thing alone, because I didn't watch the rest of his list. So yeah, I do think Loretto should have won based on The Thing alone. So
Wow, we are never going to you again. So let's just jump straight into the
Wait.
next.
One point about this one.
Yeah.
Something I discussed with Dibes right before the second night. Should we have counted Grindhouse as a separate movie from Planet Terror?
We actually spoke
I
about
decided
this.
we didn't need the controversy, right?
Yeah.
You decided. I agreed. Because here's for those that don't know, Grindhouse is it's two movies put in one. The first one is Planet Terror, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and the second one is Death Proof, directed by Quentin Tarantino. So they were released as one movie, but since it didn't do well in the box office, then they separated the movies and released. I think at least Death Proof was released theatrically. I don't know.
Yeah, Death Proof was Planet Terror went straight to DVD.
Right. So what do you guys think? Do you think it should have been a different movie or the same one?
I still agree it should have been two separate films. That's just me,
Yeah.
though. I think we all agree on that, though.
Yeah, I wasn't picking either of them, so it really impacted me.
Yeah,
this
join
much.
the club. I completely forgot about Death Proof, to be honest. But let's just jump into our next list. We've got Gabe versus Michael. So Gabe chose The Sixth Sense, The Mummy, It Follows, Beetlejuice, Signs, while Mike chose The Exorcist, Midsommar, Friday the 13th, Oculus, and The Hills Have Eyes. So personally, with me, I went Mike. Just like I said before with Gabe's team, it really starts hitting the boundaries of what horror is, because I would consider The Sixth Sense a little bit more of a thriller. I don't find the ghosts very haunting. They don't do anything scary. They're kind of just there and tell him things to move the plot forward. The Mummy, the beginning, the first act is pretty freaky to me, so I'll give you that one. It Follows, wasn't the biggest fan of. Beetlejuice is more of a Halloween movie than horror. And Signs, just, dude, I've never wanted to drink water after watching that film. But let's go on to Mike's list. The Exorcist, you know I'm going to say it, instant classic. Midsommar is a fantastic film. Friday the 13th pretty much started the slasher genre after Halloween. It was the next film to pretty much come out. Oculus and The Hills Have Eyes, I'm not the biggest fan of. But I simply went with Mike's team because those first three picks kind of outweigh a lot of your fifth picks. What about you, Deebs?
There's one flaw of this podcast, and I just it dawned on me. It shows you exactly where I'm voting for each.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's okay.
That's not cool.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay,
It's
fine.
fine.
Spoiler warning.
It's fine.
Fine. That's fine.
All right, so
We're all
Gabe,
honest with each other.
yeah, you touched on it, Ryan. Like, these are Halloween movies for Gabe. The Mummy is one of my favorite rewatched movies of all time. I love The Mummy. I literally watch it once a week. I watched it 2 nights ago. But
good.
it's not a horror movie. The Sixth Sense is phenomenal. Rewatchability, I don't see it. I've only seen it like twice. 3 times. It's great. It's a great movie. Is it a horror movie? Does it have that? You might as well throw in Coco. You might as well throw in Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, that's where this is going. Same for Beetlejuice. This is a PG movie that you watch during Halloween, not a horror draft. And Signs is really fun. I'm a huge M. Night fan. I picked one of his films as well. I enjoy Signs. It's not scary. I like the film score is terrific. And then we get to Team Mike, The Exorcist, banger. Midsummer, I don't think it's the best Ari Aster. I do like Hereditary more than Midsummer. But I think Midsummer was really effective because it makes you feel like nauseous and hallucinating and loose, like literally on drugs the entire film. You have to watch it like 2-3 times to know what the fuck is going on. Friday the 13th, like The Exorcist, OG. Oculus, I never saw, but The Hills Have Eyes is super scary. I really like that pick in the last round. So I went with Team Mike on this one, and I guess the voting got it right. Sorry.
Imagine if you didn't notice that we were saying the ones you voted for and you still said Team Gabe. Do you know how awkward that would have been?
That would have been amazing.
But Gabe, tell us just simply about your list and what you think the outcome might have been, should have been, or is, depending on what you think.
I mean, this was a big mistake by the internet, but it happens. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. To be fair, I think, for one, I wouldn't get mad over this, despite what Manda would tell you. But two, I think his list is pretty strong. I mean, objectively, it's except for Oculus, which I have not seen, nor do I know what that movie is. But I think this list is strong. Especially the thing sometimes is that in the case of Friday the 13th, people vote for the franchise and they don't vote for the movie. And I think Friday the 13th, the first one, is not the best in the franchise. At least not my favorite. I love the sixth one where it starts with a James Bond kind of opening in Jason's eye. Have you seen that one? And then he cuts the screen in half. That's beautiful. But I mean, it's a pretty strong list. He has the classic pick, 2 classic picks. He has a new horror. It's just he has a pretty good list. So it could have gone either way in my view. Like if it wasn't me, I would have been probably conflicted. But for me, like personally, I think my list is amazing because it has everything that I like in horror, right? If in my ideal world, I would have had a slasher film in there, but you guys have taken all of the good ones. So we had to pick a sequel, which again would have come to the opposite of what for him was Friday the 13th, because I would have picked Scream 4, for example. People would have been like, but it's not the best Scream. So it would have been exactly against me. And I think they are horror, despite what some people say. And the horror has many faces, and I think they work really well. I mean, they're entertaining. They're scary to me. The Sixth Sense freaked me out. It freaks everybody out, I think. So again, strong competition, and it went on one side, and that's great. I mean, good for Mike. I hope he makes it through.
Honestly, Gabe, I agree. I don't think a lot of people, I don't really think anyone had a bad or terrible list, I guess you can say. I think this tournament just comes down to subjectivity and what people really consider horror, not only in general, but to themselves. Just like what you said, Gabe, about it follows in the Sixth Sense freaking you out. That freaked you out, but it didn't really freak me out. So It's all about that subgenre of horror, which I really like. But Amanda, what do you think about this matchup?
Well, I voted for Mike, obviously, because Midsommar was there. So
Question: Am I frozen?
I loved. Yes.
Oh shit!
No, you're not. No,
Sorry,
you're not.
Gabe. I didn't hear what you said.
No, see, he asked if he was frozen. You're not frozen. You're fine.
Okay.
But yeah, I voted for Mike because I loved Midsommar. I love Florence Pugh so much, and the whole film was a trip and a half, like Dibe said. So it was really awesome. His list. I love Friday the 13th. Oculus, I haven't seen. Hills Have Eyes was good. The Exorcist, again, like I said before, it was kind of overrated, but I understand why it's considered a classic. So overall, he has a stronger list. Then you look at Gabe's list. So if I was like 10 years old, The Sixth Sense, The Mummy, and Beetlejuice were probably like, oh my God, it's so scary. I can't watch it by myself. Like that kind of thing. But if you're watching it at a later time in your life, then you're going to be like, oh, it's more of like a suspense film or an action adventure type of thing. And I don't think that Beetlejuice, we had this argument already, that it would be considered a horror film. at all. Like, I don't know if people were scared of it. Maybe growing up, it's completely different. But I really just think that Gabe's list is severely lacking, even though I love The Sixth Sense, It Follows, and Signs. But as a whole, I think that's why I voted for Mike, because everything there has more horror elements than what Gabe had. But again, subjective. I don't hate you. I just don't like the list.
Nah, she definitely hates you.
We don't have it today, whatever time it is, but who knows in 1 hour.
Let's move down to our third and final list before we go into the round one. It's Amanda versus Amy. Personally, I voted Amanda. It 2017 is awesome. Dr. Sleep is a sleeper hit, pun intended. The Invisible Man, I know I'm in the minority. Not one of my favorites of 2020. It's a good film, but that's about it. Ready or Not, I would consider more of a thriller comedy, and I've never seen Suspiria. But Team Amy has Us, Hush, Slither, Tales from the Hood, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Killer Clowns scare the crap out of me just because I don't like clowns, I'll be honest with you guys. Tales from the Hood, not really that scary to me. Slither is kind of freaky. Hush didn't scare me. And Us was just confusingly odd. So I went with Amanda on this one. What about you, Deebs? Let's try to get it a little bit going a little bit more because we still have a few more teams to go through.
Yeah, I voted for Team Amanda. That really boils down for me. Dr. Sleep, and Ready or Not. Those three movies that Amanda picked are really, really strong compared to Amy's best picks. Us is great. Was it a reach in the first round? Maybe, maybe not. A little bit. Hush is okay. I've never seen Tales from the Hood, and I've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Slither is hands down one of my favorite horror movies. That is a great flick. It's a gross out, just trip. So I like that pick in the third round. I think probably a reach, maybe, but for me personally, I probably would have taken it there, but it wasn't on my list. So obviously, Team Amanda here. Her powerhouse picks are just way better. They got it right.
What about you, Gabe? What are your opinions?
I mean, Amanda's team is terrible, but no. No, to be fair, I did not like Dr. Sleep, but I think most people did. And I think if one thing could be said about your list, Amanda, is it could be said at it could be the best horror movies of the last 3 years or something like that. And I think in that sense, it could be either for you or against you. Against you because people love their classics, right? People love to talk about The Exorcist, whatever other classic movies. But, people on Twitter sometimes are like 14 years old and this is all they've seen, right? So it might help you because, you tend to do this like many times. The audience, you know who's voting, and I mean, good for you. So, and Amy, I said it in the pod. I haven't seen any of her movies except for Us, and I didn't really like Us very much. I thought it was very, very pretentious, and people thought it was like Get Out Part 2, which it really is not. It has a couple of good performances, but that's it. So, I mean, I voted Amy because I don't like Amanda, but I think Amanda's list is superior.
Tell me how you really feel, Gabriel.
Nah, please don't. You can go on all night. But Amanda, what are your opinions on your matchup with Amy?
So Amy's list is solid. I loved Hush. I really loved it. It was a really great original horror film for Netflix. Like everyone else, Jordan Peele's sophomore film with Us wasn't as strong with the writing as I expected. I was kind of trying to figure out what was happening. There was too much going on with Us. But as a first pick, I don't think that was the best choice, considering that Group B's list was really strong. So it was just kind of surprising. And then I haven't seen Tale from the Hood or Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Wow, that was a weird way to say space. But I just didn't watch it. But for my list, you're right, Gabe, I went with all new films just because I knew that the OG films would be taken first, and I was picking 8th. So that was one of my main worries. So I avoided the big hitters and tried to do a different strategy, which kind of worked out in my favor in this case, but I don't know how I'm going to be in the next rounds, whatever. I'm losing clearly, but that's spoiler for later.
No
anyway,
one said that.
But you're losing right now?
I think I
Yeah,
am.
dude, she's
Plus,
losing by a majority. I'm looking at it right now.
yeah, so it's not a good time. But I would have chosen Halloween if one of the Halloween films were in our group. So I love every single movie here. I love both Suspiria's. Dario Argento's and Luca Guadagnino did an incredible job with both of them. So whichever one you guys want to like pick, it's there. But yeah, I really love my list because I love all of these movies.
Wow, that is a sleeper hit. So let's move in to the first technical round, I guess you can say. So I'm going to go to me versus Sean first, simply because Sean was supposed to be in the first pre-round, I guess you can say. So Deebs, you want to pull that up real quick? Yeah. So with
Which one are you doing?
my list, because we left Sean out of the first round, even though he was in it.
Sean?
Oh, because somebody didn't show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, because someone didn't show up, so I figured we'd talk about his list at least. So we've got me versus Sean. I've got Scream, Cabin in the Woods, Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder version, Zombieland, Train to Busan. Well, Sean has Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Rosemary's Baby, The Witch, Amityville Horror, and Deliverance. Personally, I love my list. I was gonna choose Saw instead of Zombieland, but I didn't realize I don't know how well that would have held up, so I kind of balled out and not went with it. But dude, Sean's list is, I don't put in better words, too old, I guess you can say. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is good, but I don't know how many people nowadays have actually seen that film. Don't even ask me what Rosemary's Baby is or try to explain it to somebody, because I know not a lot of people have seen that film. The Witch is a very divisive film. It's fine to me. Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse is such a better film. And which Amityville Horror did he choose, by the way? I forgot.
The OG.
Hopefully not the Ryan Reynolds one.
Hey, I like
I
the
think
Ryan
it's
Reynolds.
good. It's got the scares, and I've never seen Deliverance. But I obviously voted for myself. What about you, Deebs?
I mean, we talked about this on the post game. Ryan, your squad was one of my favorites on this Scream, the Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods was the movie that I had really high on my list, like top 5.
Didn't I steal it like right before you?
Yeah, you picked right before me, and I was so excited to get that in the second round if that would have fell. But yeah, that was a great choice in the second round. Dawn of the Dead 2004 is fantastic. Zombieland's fantastic. Bill Murray. How can you go wrong with zombie Bill Murray?
Murray.
And then Train to Busan. We just did a podcast of Train to Busan versus World War Z. You know how much I fell in love with Train to Busan. I rated that literally like a 9.7 out of 10. It's a zombie classic, and arguably with 28 Days Later, the best zombie movie of all time. To get that in the 5th round is absolutely crazy. And you nailed it about Sean's squad. Way too old. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, fantastic. Rosemary's Baby, instant classic. The Witch, I didn't like. I remember seeing that opening night. Because the reviews, the buzz for The Witch was so ridiculous, saying like it was the new modern horror classic. I didn't like it. I thought it was like kind of meh. And then Amityville Horror, classic. But like you said, I've never seen Deliverance. But so it's, in short, yours is just way better. And I think the voting absolutely nailed it.
What about you, Gabe?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Sean's list. I think they're older movies, and unfortunately, I have only seen Texas Chainsaw. I haven't seen the rest. The Witch has been on my watch list for like 2 years. So I hope to get to it eventually, but I haven't yet. And your list, Ryan, I've seen 3, which are Scream, Dawn of the Dead, and Zombieland, and I love all 3. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure I voted for you, and I've heard great things about the other 2. I just haven't seen them, so I can't say anything. But to me, yours was clearly the better list, and that's why you're winning by such a large margin so far.
Yeah, dude, you need to see Train to Busan. It's on Amazon Prime, and Cabin in the Woods is the other one you didn't see, right?
Right.
Dude, genre defining.
Really good.
And then Amanda, coming off to you, what do you think about both teams right here?
Well, I voted for you just because you have Scream. He stole Scream from me. He stole Scream from me. Let's be realistic, okay?
I told Deebs that. Yeah, that was 50% of the reason why I chose it.
Yeah, I know. That was the reason why you chose it. So, yeah, the whole list is great. Cabin in the Woods is fantastic. I had a lot of fun watching it. Zombieland is just a good time. It's just such a good time. and I have to watch the other two. But the reason why I don't like Sean's list is because of Rosemary's Baby and The Witch. I didn't like either of those films, and I know Rosemary's Baby was, it's critically acclaimed, it's Polanski, it's blah 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 blah. I just felt so uncomfortable watching it as a woman watching the film. It was just really, it was unsettling. I couldn't watch it, and that I wrote a whole article on it because I just didn't like it at all. And that was right after I watched Mother, which also pissed me off. So Mother was horrible. It was so bad. But yeah, Ryan has the better list, hands down, and I know that's why Sean lost, because of Rosemary's Baby. 100%. That's why he lost. So yeah.
Wait,
Wow, that's a ballsy claim. But Deebs, let's start back up at the list, and then when we come down to me and Sean, we'll just skip over. Just
just one question to Dives. Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice, and Zombieland are around the same subgenre realm of.
I beg to differ, because I feel like the entire third act of Zombieland is pretty fucking scary, of them in the amusement park, especially when he goes into the horror house, when he has to face the zombie clown. All really scary, and especially the beginning too, when he's by himself. Like I said, it just comes down to preference at the end of the day. I find the scare factor much higher than probably some other people, but that's also just me. Let's move into another first round. We got Jonesy versus our man Sonny on the Movies Matrix team. Jonesy's got the Let the Right One In, Bram's Dracula, Carrie, Annihilation, Krampus. And then we got Sonny with The Conjuring, Get Out, Evil Dead 2013, which I'm pissed he took, Mama, and Child's Play. Personally, I don't like Jonesy's list. Never seen the Let the Right One Out. Bram's Dracula is pretty fire. Carrie, I've never liked, no matter what version of it. Annihilation, that's really tipping it on horror for me, at least, because I love the film. But there's only one thing I found scary, and that's when they were tied up by that little I don't even know what to call it, the bear thing. Yeah. That was the only time I found it scary. And Krampus, I could see, so I gave that one a pass. But I obviously went with Sonny. The Conjuring is massively amazing. Get Out's awesome. Evil Dead is the best one of the four, in my opinion. Wow. But I feel like Mama and Child's Play is his downfall. Mama is fine to me, and then Child's Play is just, I think people just think it's too kiddie and never found it scary, especially with the Chucky doll. So I went with Sonny. What about you, Deebs?
Yeah, so obviously I picked for Sonny here. Let the Right One In is fantastic. But outside of that, like Carrie's fantastic. Annihilation is fantastic, but it's not a horror movie to me. Krampus is actually low-key one of my favorite horror movies. It's super, super underrated. Has a great ending. But other than that, it's kind of just a C list to me. The Conjuring, Get Out. I can't believe Get Out fell to the second round. That is absolutely crazy. Evil Dead 2013 is terrific. Mama, that's directed by Andy Muschietti, who's directing The Flash, and I really, really cannot wait for that film. But Mama's really underrated. I really enjoyed it. It was almost like The Haunting of Hill House. It's just a great story, and it's just a great ghost story that I really, really enjoyed. So Child's Play, I don't like it. I think we said that during the post game. If you could replace Child's Play with anything else, I Sonny's list are bangers. That's a list that really speaks to me. So obviously the voters got this one right.
Now, real quick, I probably guessed this right. He's talking about the original one, not the new one, right?
No, the new one.
What? That's even worse. What?
The Mark Hamill one?
Okay, so I
wait. Child's Play or Evil Dead?
Child's Play.
The original. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. All right. What about you, Dave? What are your opinions? Gabe, what are your opinions about?
Well, I mean, I told Jonesy, and when we had the first spot, I haven't seen most of her movies. I really want to see Annihilation, but again, it has been in my watches for way too long, way longer than it should have. I like Carrie and Dracula. I saw when I was a kid, and I remember it being scary, but I think it's campy now, right? Or not? It always campy, but as a kid, whatever. So I don't know much about her list, but just funny fact or interesting fact about her list is that most of these, except for Krampus, are based on books because she really likes reading. So she picked movies. What's that?
I love it.
Nice. Yeah, so she picked movies that are based in books, except for The Krampus, which is an urban legend. So that was her mindset. So that kind of explains a bit of where she was going. But Sonny's team is really really solid. So for sure he was going to win this one. I mean, Jonesy had an uphill battle here. I think except for Mama, which I have not seen, so I don't know if it's good. But the rest are pretty solid. Also, somewhat modern, pretty modern horror movies, except for Child's Play. Thankfully, it was the new one, the old one, not the new one. So yeah, this people are getting it right. So final results. People got it right already.
Yeah. Oh man, that already ended. I forgot some of them are so far apart. But Amanda, what are your opinions on these lists?
Jonesy's lists. I love Dracula. It's such a great film. I love Carrie as well. It's one of my favorite De Palma films. Annihilation is the stretch. As much as I adore that movie, it left me like just in awe of the entire film. It's a weak list, even though like I love Dracula and Carrie, but everything else like I don't really care for. Like Annihilation isn't a horror film, so that's kind of what right? So with Sunny's team, The Conjuring, Get Out, and Child's Play probably is strongest. Evil Dead I haven't seen, and Mama I haven't seen. But The Conjuring, I didn't sleep for like 3 days after watching it. So that scared me. Get Out, like you said, Dibes, like I can't believe that fell to the second round. I was kind of banking on it. I wanted it so badly on my team, but like I knew someone was going to take it, and obviously Sunny was higher up. But that's why I voted for Sunny, because of The Conjuring and Get Out alone. So yeah.
That's crazy. Top two picks there, Conjuring and Get Out, are like pound for pound the best horror duo right there. I love those top two picks there.
But yeah, let's move down to the next one, Deebs.
Let's do it.
So we've got a pretty big rivalry right here. We've got Deebs versus Loretto, two of my favorite co-hosts of the Suit Up Geeks podcast. And I'll be honest, we've got Deebs with Jaws, Split, Shaun of the Dead, Pan's Labyrinth, and American Psycho. Loretto's got The Thing, Evil Dead 2, Insidious, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Planet Terror. I'm sorry, Deebs, but I went with Loretto on this one. Like I said, we've had this big controversy about whether we consider Jaws a horror film. And with me, I don't consider it a horror film. So I completely threw that one out. And then Split, I love that film. Great Shyamalan film. And then Shaun of the Dead, dude, I love Shaun of the Dead. I'm pretty sure I put that on my comedy list when we did those. I've not seen Pan's Labyrinth, and American Psycho is great. But Loretto's got The Thing, Evil Dead 2, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Insidious, I'm a little back and forth on. But I feel like Loretto's got more of the horror than Deebs does. So I went with Team Loretto. Deebs, explain what your team is and how you came up with it and all that great stuff.
It's the same pattern that I've done in all of these drafts, and it doesn't stop. I pick movies that people love, and not necessarily my favorites. It's the movies that I think people will vote for, and that's always been my strategy. Jaws is a no-brainer. Loretto and I did a bracket, and Jaws won hands down. It stopped people from going to the beach it's swim in the ocean for an entire generation. It's just massively important for the horror genre. It's the OG summer blockbuster. People love Jaws, like that Indianapolis beach. They love it. Split is one of my favorite M. Night movies. Is it my favorite M. Night movie? It's not, but I know people love it. Shaun of the Dead, same thing. That movie crushed during our comedy movie draft. I don't know if you remember that. That was a very popular movie. Pick that one. Pan's Labyrinth was my personal choice here. That to me is one of my single favorite Guillermo del Toro film. It's just a hauntingly beautiful story with great creature designs and just bone chilling film score. I just love Pan's Labyrinth. I listen to that film score on the reg. And then American Psycho, Christian Bale, like that. Like who doesn't like that? Is like a cult classic. That is like the definition of cult classic. American Psycho. Christian Bale just going nuts, killing prostitutes, and it's more of a psychological horror. But that's my list. So I did vote for myself. Love you, Loretto.
Wait, we can vote for ourselves? Shocker.
You said you voted for yourself.
I'm not denying that. But Gabe, what are your opinions on this matchup?
I think both of these lists are very, very strong. Like, Dives and I mess around about my list and everything, but I mean, yours is pretty strong. And I was bugging you this morning with Jaws, like, just, is it horror? Because I mean, who cares at this point? We picked it, so your list is pretty strong. You even have Pan's Labyrinth, which I love, and it made me think, at least for a few years, that Guillermo del Toro was actually a talented filmmaker. So that it's a pretty solid list, except for American Psycho, which I've not seen. So, but the other four are.
What?
You need to see American Psycho.
Watch
That's
it
great.
tonight.
Okay,
Christian Bale's best performance.
Evil Dead, and you have not seen
Relax.
another.
It's okay.
So either way, I'm sorry, but just Loretto's list is the best one.
Gabe, you there?
Like that list
Okay.
is gold. And even though I really like yours, I don't. Sorry.
You're
You
cutting
keep cutting in
Sorry.
and out.
What'd you say, Ryan?
You keep cutting in and out.
Oh shit! Oh. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good. So you went with Loretto, right?
I went with Loretto because I would have gone with
Okay.
Loretto's list over any list except for mine.
Wow. Okay, Amanda, what are your opinions on these lists?
So I said it before. I don't like Jaws, and it's overrated. But my dad always tells me the story when he was 8 years old and he was traveling to Italy. He watched it right after. He watched it before going, and then he was so terrified that the plane was going to crash and land in the water because he watched Jaws. So that's like the story that he always tells me. And then when I went to watch it, which is like a couple years
Not a
ago,
horror movie.
I called him. I literally called him, and I'm like, Dad, like Jaws wasn't that great. Nothing happened for like an hour and a half, and I'm so bored. But the score is great. But the score was great. I'm just saying.
Literally losing subscribers by the minute from the podcast.
I'm sorry. Split, I did like and I didn't at the same time. Weird. It's just kind of there. Shaun of the Dead's great. Pan's Labyrinth is probably my favorite pick. And that's literally why I voted for you, even for American Psycho. I love both of those films so much. And like I said, I didn't really watch anything on Loretto's team except for The Thing. So that's why I voted for you. Yeah. So thanks for choosing Pan's Labyrinth for that reason.
That's crazy. So let's go to our next matchup.
I can't. I'm listening to that film score like in my head right now.
Wait, Amanda, you said Loretto, right?
No, I said Dives.
Oh, man, that's... Okay, so this is the one I've been waiting to talk about. This is the one I'm excited about. So before we get into this, we got 44 minutes, and right now they're tied. So Zach, our man Zach, has Psycho, Misery, Don't Breathe, The Lighthouse, Frankenstein, 1931. Alien for Jordan, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Mist, The Stuff, and Prince of Darkness. Man, these are two fantastic lists. I'm pretty shocked Zach went with Psycho for the first round. That was pretty ballsy. Then he chose Misery, which is great. Personally, I don't think it's a horror, but that's just me. Don't Breathe pretty much explains my entire experience watching the film. The Lighthouse was one of my favorite films of 2019. And Frankenstein, 1931, whether I love the film or not, it's really old. That's honestly all I need to say. It's a really old pick. But then Jordan, man, it's got some really strong three people pick with Alien, A Nightmare on Elm Street, The Mist, The Stuff, and Prince of Darkness. Honestly, I love those first three picks, but The Stuff and Prince of Darkness, I've never seen The Stuff, and Prince of Darkness, I might have to rewatch again because I really don't remember too much. So I'm definitely going to give that a rewatch, but I went with Team Zach because he's got Psycho, The Lighthouse, Misery, and Don't Breathe. I love all four of those films, even the Frankenstein pick. But what about you, Deebs? I mean, we already know, but explain your pick.
Yeah, this one was really hard to vote for. This was one of the more challenging voting matchups in the first round. Psycho's incredible. Misery's pretty good. Don't Breathe was really good. The Lighthouse, I've never seen. We were just talking about that. I need to watch that. And then Frankenstein's an OG, but how many people have probably watch Frankenstein that are voting in these Twitter polls.
Yeah.
And then you get to Jordan. It really boils down to like the top three there: Alien, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Mist. And The Mist in the third round is terrific. I actually did a top 10 top 10 horror list for Movies Matrix on the YouTube channel, and that was in my top 10. I think I had it like at 7 or 8. That's how highly regarded The Mist is. I love how it sets up the humans as the monsters, not the actual monsters. I love that like introspective. But like when the shit hits the fan, like I love that piece of horror. I've never seen The Stuff. I've never heard of it, and I've never heard of Prince of Darkness. So it really came down to my personally favorite list out of this, and I went with Jordan. So it's pretty cool to see a 50-50 there.
What about you, Gabe?
I think this bracket's being decided by the top 2 films of each list, and you got to decide which one of those two movies, those two movies you like best. And I think in that sense, I was expecting for Alien and Nightmare to take it, because as great as Psycho and Misery are, because they're fantastic, they're not as certified rewatchable classics as Alien and Nightmare on Elm Street. For the other films, I haven't seen some of them. I hadn't even heard of some of them, like you guys have said. One's too old. I don't know if even Zach has seen it, right? Frankenstein. But I mean, probably has. So I wouldn't. I don't have a clear favorite here. But it seems adequate to have a 50-50 at this point, in my view.
Yeah, honestly, I'm with you, Gabe. These are the best matchups for me personally, is when they're head to head right now, and it really relies on like a point something difference, which seems like it's going to turn into, and I really can't wait to see who comes out victorious in the next 40 minutes. What about you, Amanda? What are your opinions?
I actually agree with Gabe. Shocking that this is being decided. This is being decided between Psycho and Alien. I really like Zach's list. I think I voted for him. Who the hell knows anymore? I think I voted for him. I love Misery. Don't Breathe, I haven't seen, and I fell asleep during The Lighthouse, as we all know. Frankenstein was great, so I think he has a stronger list. I don't think I've watched The Mist. Does that say The Stuff? I'm like blind.
Yeah, no, that says The Stuff.
Okay. And Prince of Darkness, I have not seen those, so that's why I voted for Zach, solely off of my love for Misery and Frankenstein.
That's pretty baller. So let's just go to the next one after me and Sean. So now, Deebs, is Ryan in the room right now?
Yeah, Ryan, you want to talk?
Let him join this one. Let him join this one. So right now,
battle scene of Aquaman. It's
So right now we've got Ryan, Deeb's friend, who's on camera, getting ready to know the results for everybody. Well, mainly us, pretty much. And so Ryan chose The Shining, The Descent, Blair Witch Project, Saw, which I'm kind of jealous I didn't take now, and The Ring. But our girl Manda got It 2017, Dr. Sleep, Invisible Man, Ready or Not, and Suspiria. I'm going to go off, and I said Manda simply because I like The Shining. I think it's a bit overrated in my opinion. The Descent, not really a big fan of other than the third act. Blair Witch, I know, I find freaky as shit. I know a lot of people don't. Saw, it's coming. Instant classic. And then The Ring, I really never liked any of the Ring films. And personally, I just thought the first 3 picks for Amanda were just much stronger, in my opinion, than the overall list. So I went with Team Amanda. What about you, Deebs?
Yeah, this matchup has tons of bangers on both lists here.
Imagine if you just chose Amanda, by the way, and Ryan just sitting there. What an asshole.
I already professed my love for Amanda's list. I think it was really good, and I remember Amanda was freaking out about, oh my god, I have one of the last picks. Like, you have a great list, Amanda. That is a very strong list, top to bottom. But Ryan's list with The Shining is my number 1 favorite horror movie. The Descent is also one of my favorite. If you watch my top 10 horror list, that's number 1. And then Blair Witch Project. I know it's divisive, but I will. I got my Jon Snow bastard sword, lifting it up. The army's coming at me. I love the Blair Witch Project. That is such a cult classic film. I was there opening night when it came out. I remember it vividly. Saw. Obviously, it's a classic, and it's got definitely some popularity with it being rebooted. And then The Ring. The Ring is okay. It's just it's a good horror movie, but probably the weakest on this list. So yeah, how can you vote against The Shining, The Descent? Saw was James Wan, I believe. So I mean, we're literally watching a James Wan movie right now, Aquaman. And the Blair Witch Project. Sorry, Amanda. I voted for Ryan. I think the voters got this one right.
It's okay.
What about you, Gabe?
I mean, as Ryan and I think Dives know, I went on a pretty extensive rant about Ryan's list on the Sunday night. So I'll try to keep it brief. I think besides The Shining and The Ring on his list, I think The Descent I haven't seen, so I can't give an opinion. But the other two are perfect examples of movies that you have heard a lot about and you feel like you should like, but you won't like when you watch them. Because they don't hold up at all. Like, they were a product of their time. They worked back then. They don't work anymore now, especially the Blair Witch Project. And I talked about Amanda's list, which I think is pretty solid for the ones I've seen. So this one, I think I don't know who I voted for. I don't think I've ever voted for Amanda in anything. So probably Ryan.
Thanks for that.
With what I've said. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know who I voted for. I probably didn't. But I mean, just fuck the Blair Witch Project.
Wow.
And thank you, Saul, for starting the career of two really talented filmmakers that are doing better movies right now, except for Aquaman, than a third of a movie called Saw.
At least me and Gabe agree on that.
Do you not see this?
Now, Amanda, you get to talk to the guy who just beat you right now. What do you have to say to him? Just real quick.
Honestly, The Shining is one of my favorite films of all time. And it was on Group B's list, so I couldn't take it. And that's why I took Dr. Sleep, because I needed something. But yeah, your list is amazing. It's very, it's solid. Saw is amazing. The Ring is terrifying. The Blair Witch Project is the only one that I cannot stand on that list. I'm so sorry. I watched it a couple weeks ago and it bothered me. But when it did come out, I completely understand that the marketing blew people's minds, and I completely take that into account. So I think that's why it's a great choice as well. The Descent I've never seen, so I can't really speak on it. But yeah, man, if I had to lose to anyone, I'm happy it was this list with The Shining on it, to be perfectly honest. So yeah. Nice.
And real quick, Ryan, do you have any thoughts about your list while you're on, man?
Well, I think early on with knowing I was going up against Amanda in the first round, I was like, oh, God, it's going to be so tight because everything that, she picks is solid. And I think I love it. I'm a huge Pennywise fan. I think it would have been in the very top for me should they shown Pennywise even more than they did. Dr. Sleep, wasn't really scared by it or horror wise. I wasn't really fazed by it, but I appreciated obviously the sequel. I think overall for me, I was very happy to get The Shining. I think someone had dropped out and I went from third overall to second. So to have someone go 28 days and then me go, and yes, I can finally pick The Shining. That was definitely huge.
That's the only movie I would have taken over Jaws, The Shining.
Yeah.
True story.
For the fourth round, I was kind of looking for that gore factor, and I said on Sunday it was between Saw and Eli Roth's Hostel. I went with Saw due to the fact that it was just an iconic, for everything. And then The Ring, when I lost out on the argument with 7, all coming out of the TV.
Oh, that's right.
always coming out of TV was huge to me. So I just kind of looked at that. I was like, this is a good pick. So.
Nah, yeah. Honestly, I was debating on taking Saw over Zombieland, but I felt like the fan base wasn't there. But I'm really glad that you took it and that the film got some form of love, because I was close to picking Saw 6. But let's move down to our next list: Joe versus I don't know who. Joe versus Larry. Okay,
all right.
This was a slaughter. Joe's got Cloverfield, Let Me In, Drag Me to Hell, The Fly, What We Do in the Shadows. And then Larry's got Halloween 1978, Silence of the Lambs, Poltergeist, Black Swan, Sinister. I'll just say Larry's got a fucking bomb list. If he didn't have Black Swan, this would have been an easy A for me. I think I gave him a B overall because of that pick. But Joe has Cloverfield, Let Me In, Drag Me in Hell, The Fly, and What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows, not horror to me. Cloverfield, not really horror to me. Don't like Let Me In. Drag Me to Hell is one of the weaker Raimi films, in my opinion, but The Fly is top notch, so I went with Larry. What about you, Deebs?
Yeah, this is my last one. I got to go. I got to do another podcast in a few minutes. But yeah, Team Larry has the best squad in this entire Group A, Group B. You have Halloween, banger, Silence of the Lambs, bang, second round pick. That's like up there with Get Out for the second round. Unbelievable value. Poltergeist, absolute instant classic. Black Swan, that was a in left field pick, but I love Black Swan. That's another one. Like, is it horror? Is it not? But regardless, it is super intense, super intense. That is a great movie. And then Sinister, probably the best fifth round pick in this entire draft was Sinister in the fifth round. That I love that movie. That is a really fun slasher flick. Cloverfield was a reach for Joe in the first round. I had it. I think I thought of it like right at the end, or sorry, the beginning of the draft. I was like, oh, Cloverfield. But to see it to go in the first round is a reach. Let Me In is okay. Drag Me to Hell, I think he was hoping for Sam Raimi points. Didn't really help him there, obviously. The Fly was a great fourth round pick. The Fly is really strong in terms of horror. And then What We Do in the Shadows is meh. So I think the fans absolutely nailed this one, right? And Larry's team is a true contender. I think if I had to put money down, Larry's running this thing, man.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Gabe?
See you guys.
Totally.
See you, Deebs.
See you, Doug. Totally agree. Oh, we don't have a list anymore.
Took the screen.
I got it. You guys don't worry.
Took
You
the
guys
screen.
don't worry.
I remember it. So
You don't need to hear what Gabe thinks anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, continue, Gabe.
Why
Well,
are you
I
that
love the
way?
list.
What do you do that? Anyway.
Okay.
So this is Larry's game to lose. I think he's going all in. He picked really well, and it was, I mean, not that much, but I think it was somewhat harder. The second day was somewhat harder than the first day because we had our own set of 20 movies to pick from, but we also didn't have a lot of classics that weren't on the list on the first day. And the fact that Larry was able to pull all those fantastic movies, because I thought Sinister had been picked. I was sure somebody had picked Sinister, because otherwise I would have picked it, because that movie is really good, really good. And the rest are classics, and like I said, he has like I said in the pod when we first did it, like he has Halloween, which is the original slasher movie, and then he has Silence of the Lambs, which is an Academy Award movie that also has really
I'm not sharing it.
drama. And then he has what was the third one?
Hold up,
Poltergeist.
I can't share it because Deebs is the host.
No, that's okay.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so
are we still live?
yeah.
Oh, we're still live. Okay.
yeah, we're still live. We're still live.
Anyway, so I'm sad that Joe lost, and he had Drag Me to Hell, which is one of my favorite movies. Like that movie, I would have loved to have on my team because I think it's hilarious. It's got a lot of heart, with a really great performance by Alison Lohman. But it was clear. Like I predict that Larry is gonna be like this for the rest of the game, just like having 70% all the time. So.
No, yeah, honestly, I agree. What about you, Amanda?
I'm trying to pull up the list so I know what the hell I'm talking about. Here we go. Okay. So like Larry, sorry, I just want to know. So Larry has Halloween, Silence of the Lambs, Poltergeist, Black Swan, and Sinister. So all of that is like, it's amazing. It's like that whole list is gonna go all the way. I kind of want to put money on it because I don't know who's gonna go against us, like saying that Larry's not gonna win, but still, it's such a solid team. Cloverfield, Let Me In, Drag Me to Hell, The Fly, all that, like, just it's not a good list. It's not a strong list. And I love Black Swan. I thought Black Swan was horrifying. It's kind of like a body horror. I would kind of look at it, to be perfectly honest. But Sinister scared the crap out of me for like a week straight. So that was fun. But yeah, that list is amazing. So I also voted for Larry in that case.
Yeah, so now we've got our final final. Yeah, we got our final pick. So we got Team Daryl versus Chad. This is a really weird one for me. So Daryl's got A Quiet Place, Cabin Fever, House of 1,000 Corpses, Tremors, and Predator. But Chad's got The Strangers, The Babadook, Paranormal Activity, The Visit, and Devil. So I voted for Chad on this one simply because The Strangers is phenomenal. Paranormal Activity, even though it doesn't hold up the best, it's still got a special place in my heart. The Visit was a great return to form for M. Night Shyamalan. And Devil is such an underrated gem. I've not seen The Babadook, so I couldn't vote off of that. But Daryl's got A Quiet Place, Cabin Fever, which I love. And then that's it. Actually, no, I also love Predator, but that kind of goes back and forth whether that's a horror movie or not. But House of 1,000 Corpses, I don't like. And Tremors is a comedy to me. So I thought it was an easy pick for Chad. What about you, Gabe?
Sorry, I was just pulling the list. Same as
Yeah, man, go.
Yeah. Well, I said in the pod, I'm not the biggest fan of Daryl's list. I think A Quiet Place I liked, but I also, forgot about it somewhat. I don't think. I mean, I liked it, but whatever. And then anything with Rob Zombie, Rob Zombie doesn't know what subtlety is. He's like, the horror Zack Snyder. Like, it's just not the best. And then Tremors and Predator, solid choices, debatable if they're horror. But I think Chad's list is really good. I think all those movies are pretty solid picks. So I think I'm seeing here I went with Chad, who's losing. Oh.
Yeah, he lost by a lot.
Yeah, well, interesting because, I was especially proud that Chad picked The Visit because I recently rewatched it and I reviewed it on my site and nobody clicked on that thing because I think people just don't have fun memories of The Visit for some reason, which I think it's a pretty good movie. It's also a bit of a comedy. So I'm surprised. I don't want to say they got it wrong, but I'm going to say I'm really surprised.
What about you, Amanda?
I didn't vote for Chad because it's Chad. No, I'm joking. No,
At least you're honest.
Anyway,
at least you're honest.
Okay, he's not gonna watch this, and he knows already. So, I just don't like his list, man. Especially because he crapped on Paranormal Activity, and then he takes it. I was like,
yeah,
what?
Right?
Wait, what did he say?
He said it's like a really bad movie, but then picks
Yeah.
it third round soon after. I even mentioned that, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, you don't like the film, but yet you still picked it? What?
So I was like, okay, you do you, bro.
What did he say about it? He said it was boring? What did he say?
He said it was boring, it wasn't scary, and then he picks it.
And I'm like, all right, that's stupid. So
Screw and he's proud. That's the thing. I feel like a lot of people, play with the crowd, right? Like they're picking because they think some movies are going to be voted on more, which sometimes works, right, Amanda? But sometimes it doesn't, right? If Chad picked Paranormal Activity, and look at him losing right now. So go with the heart, people. Go with the heart right here.
Yeah, pretty much at the end of the day.
Yeah, A Quiet Place is probably his best pick. So I understand why Daryl won.
I still think that's a weird first round pick.
Predator.
What?
Predator is one of the best picks in any list. Right?
Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't anything great. I'm just saying.
She just doesn't like cinema, Gabe. She doesn't like cinema. We have to admit it. But yeah, guys, that wraps up all the battles that have gone down. So real quick before we wrap everything
We
up.
got one more. John against, right?
Do we?
John
There's
against.
Did I miss one?
Is there actually?
Yeah. John,
Ooh.
8 days later, Dead Alive against Mike.
You're lying.
Oh, hold up. Maybe I think I missed one. I think I did. Where is it? I can't get this list up for some reason.
Very last one. It's the very last one. And then
Here we go. Yeah, it wasn't showing on my screen. Okay, so for the last one, we've got John and Mike. John has 28 Days Later, Dead Alive, Night of the Living Dead. I Know What You Did Last Summer, Candyman. First off, 28 Days Later is awesome. Not a big fan of Dead Alive. Night of the Living Dead is the defining genre of the zombies. We've got I Know What You Did Last Summer. I don't like I Know What You Did Last Summer. And Candyman is awesome. Mike's got The Exorcist, Midsommar, Friday the 13th, Oculus, Hills Have Eyes. The first three are just going to dominate everything else. So I went with Team Mike. What about you, Gabe?
I went with Team John. No, I didn't. Oh, yeah, I think I did. I mean, tell him I did, but I didn't.
Did you actually?
No,
That's
I mean,
terrible.
whatever. I won't say. John's my friend. He's a newcomer. I invited him. It was like so. Anyway, I haven't seen most of his movies. And 28 Days Later, I don't like. It's boring as hell. What am I, Amanda? Not liking movies everybody likes. So and Mike beat me, and I said before he has a pretty solid list. So I think, if this stays with it, probably will because it's 46 minutes away. I think it makes sense that Mike will take it because I told John you picked many of these movies are like acquired tastes, like that not everybody has seen, like Dead Alive. It's directed by Peter Jackson, by the way.
Really?
Peter Jackson, but I assume most people haven't seen it. I know I haven't. I don't know if you guys have, but and so I mean this one wasn't an easy one for me, but yeah, makes sense that Mike won.
What about you, Amanda?
I voted for Mike Obvi. I love his list. I love his list. I don't think I've watched. I Know What You Did Last Summer. I thought it was kind of dumb, but I haven't watched anything else. I haven't watched Candyman, which is terrible, and I should watch it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I voted for Mike. We all know I love his team because of Florence Pugh and Midsommar. So yeah.
Yes. So before we wrap things up, let's just make a little, I guess on who we think is going to make it into the semifinals. So right now it's going to be Deebs versus either Zach or his opponent because they're still tied right now. We've got Ryan versus Larry, me versus Sonny, and then we got Michael versus Daryl. So we're just going to kind of ignore the Deebs one until that one ends in like 40 minutes because we don't know yet. But do we think Michael or Daryl's going to win? I'll start off. Personally, I think Mike's going to win. What about you, Gabe?
On what match again? I got mixed up.
Michael Komet versus Mr. Doughty, Daryl.
Oh, Michael's going to win that one.
Yeah, that's what I think. What about you, Amanda? Who do you think is going to win?
Oh, Mike for sure. Mike's gonna win. But I just want to address that Lo is dragging me, and I in the comments right now. Lo, I will watch more. That's why I do it every single October. So
she's uncultured.
I am uncultured just for this.
And then I think this is a bit of an obvious one. Who do we think is going to win, Ryan versus Larry? I think we all think Larry is going to win.
Larry's going to win all of them.
And then it's me versus Sonny. Who do you guys going to think?
Sonny's going to win.
I think Sonny's going to win.
Sonny hands down going to win.
No, I'm going to say you, Ryan.
You're going to say me? I already know that Amanda's saying Sonny because she doesn't want to say me. You can just tell by her facial expression. But I don't know.
First of all, face does not matter here. We should call ourselves do a Reservoir Dogs thing and Mr. Pink, Mr. Blue, because so that Amanda doesn't do whatever she does all the time.
And so
it's not personal. It's the movies.
I didn't do anything, but okay.
Put in a hypothetical.
Oh, not voting for you. Not voting for Chad. No voting. No.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay.
At least I know who one person's voting for here.
I will vote for you eventually. Don't worry.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Have you ever voted for me?
Once.
For what? For what?
Members, we've done like 5 of these. I don't remember at all. So I'm sorry.
Once in 4 drafts, you only voted for me once, and I made it to the final twice.
Yes.
She definitely didn't vote for you the first time because it was both of you in the finals.
Right, but before we were in the finals, you could have voted.
Why would I? Why would I do it?
Because I have great picks.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but we already know she's uncultured, Gabe. We already know this.
Why? I feel I'm attacked.
You are attacked. But guys, we're pulling some hypotheticals real quick. So let's just go with Who would win if it was Deebs against Zach? I still think Deebs would win.
You got Zach's list again?
No,
No.
I don't know. I'm going off of memory.
Oh.
We had Psycho, right?
Oh,
Frank-
and-
Yeah, Psycho.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, Dive's gonna get that one.
Yeah, Dibes is gonna get that one, and then let's see who the other opponent is for him. If I can actually find it, that would be nice.
What would you do if a face showed up right behind me right now like this?
I'd be
Honestly-
so happy.
Oh shit, guys, listen. So 10 minutes left to spare, and Zach is up by 0.6% right now.
Amazing.
Right? So
Crossed.
just in case Jordan wins, he has Alien, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Mist, The Stuff, and Prince of Darkness. If he goes up against Deebs, I still think Deebs is gonna win. What do you guys think?
Same.
Same.
You guys think that too? Okay, so let's just wrap it up right now. So thank you guys for joining the Movies Matrix post first round draft pick. The voting polls for the semifinals, whatever the hell they're called, will be up tomorrow morning. Don't forget to vote for your favorite pick. I can't end this live stream because none of us are the host, so it's going to end once we all leave the studio.
No.
But thank you guys so much for joining us, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do a final thing for the ending of this. So check that out in a few days. Thank you guys for joining me, and have a safe one. Peace.
Bye.